Okay. How many of you noticed Mike Koenigs' bullets in his presentation yesterday when he was talking about all of the things? Was Mike's presentation pretty interesting, pretty compelling? Oh, yeah. Would you like to meet the person who actually helped him write it? Would you like to meet the copywriter that some of the top copywriters in the world use to actually hone and polish their copy? Yes. Okay. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to bring up Mr. Michael Millman, who is going to teach you about the power of persuasion and how to take fabulous copy and make you a lot of money. So welcome up to the stage, Michael.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe. You want to hang out?
Yeah, I'll hang out for just a minute. And then, do you want me up there?
Yeah, stay.
Okay.
Let's make it a conversation.
Okay, so, gosh, you know, a little bit about a background about who you are and what you do. Because most people here, they weren't expecting this.
Well, I know, and I really appreciate the opportunity. Who I am and where I came from. Basically,
and we'll go for 20 on here. Let's do that.
I fell in love with words in the first grade when I first learned how to read. And I won the book reading and book report contest in the first grade. And I've been sort of self-taught ever since. And moving forward, I got involved with Tony Robbins back in 1989 and really learned a lot about persuasion and influence from him. And in 1990, I went to certification. And I learned about something called transformational vocabulary. Has anybody been exposed to Tony and watch your TV, as he used to say? Transformational vocabulary is very, very powerful. And I've been writing copy for decades. I've been self-employed since I was 19 years old. And I've been interested, like Joe, from a very early age in marketing and selling. And so I started putting this stuff together in my head and decided that it was really something that would be very, very powerful to integrate transformational vocabulary, which bypasses the conscious mind, goes right into the subconscious mind, and combine that with writing copy to become much, much better and more effective at conveying sales messages to people. So I've come to be known as the copy polisher as opposed to a copywriter because I've just found that I really enjoy taking existing work and making it a lot better rather than building it from the ground up. And some people have likened me to, have you ever heard of the company BASF, the chemical company? One of their things is, we don't make the golf balls, we make the golf balls fly farther, things like that. Well, I don't like to write the copy per se, but I like to make the copy that's written a whole lot better. So I've been called sort of the world's greatest copy polisher and punch-up artist and the copywriter's copywriter and things like that. So I've recently been very fortunate to start working with Mike Koenigs. I've known Joe since 1994. We didn't reconnect until Gary Halbert's memorial. When was that, 2007?
Yeah.
And I just ran into Joe again at Mike Koenigs' mastermind about 2 weeks ago. And you might have heard me yesterday talk about the power of giving in the Go Giver book. When I ran into Joe, I just decided that I would offer him a gift, seeing him again. I knew that he was rolling out or re-rolling out a product called the Gary Halbert XXX Tapes. And I said, you know, I'd like to give you a gift and just do a quick polish on your sales letter for you. And he was gracious enough to allow me to do that, not knowing at that time what I was up to or what I was doing or who I was doing it for. And that led to, even though he hasn't had time, I knew the timing was bad. He hasn't really had time to go through that, I don't think. But he immediately said, hey.
But not thoroughly. Okay. But I went through it enough to know that you totally got, you're freaking, you got some ninja stuff in you. Yeah.
Thanks. But immediately he said, hey, I'd like you to be my guest and come to this event. And I kind of had to, really scramble because it was only a few days away. But something told me it would be really special to be here, and it has been like amazingly special because of this. The people in this room, just absolutely stunningly amazing. So thank you again for inviting me.
Thank you.
And allowing me to participate in this and contribute. So really where this came from is I evolved this idea in my head that every time we communicate in any form whatsoever, whether we're up here on the platform doing a presentation, whether we are writing a sales letter, whether we're on television, on the radio, the people who are observing us, like you're observing me right now, and you're forming an evaluation, you're forming an opinion, You know, it's like, oh, he's so short, or he's kind of interesting looking, or he's got too much hair, or he must be kind of cool because Joe brought him up, and, you know, I mean, you're making an evaluation, right? Everybody always evaluates. Well, I decided that every prospect that we're talking to has two little characters sitting on either shoulder. On one shoulder, there's a glowing white angel, and on the other shoulder, there's this red fiery devil. And they're both whispering into your prospect's ears all the time. And this is talking to their subconscious mind. So I evolved out of transformational vocabulary. I've put together something that's really pretty unique. There's not another copywriting teacher on the planet that I've run across that teaches these things, and it's one of the reasons why my big, bold claim is I can take anybody's copy. I don't care how big they are, how famous they are, how good a copywriter they are. There are things that are in standard speech that go against the subconscious mind, and I can improve it, make it better, and make it convert better. So I've come up with 7 negative persuasion patterns that exist in standard communication and that you should work on to eliminate all those patterns. And they're pretty simple, and it's something you can put into a checklist. And I'll roll back a little bit. I went through John Childers' $1 Million speaker training, and one of the things John taught us was to always be prepared to get up and give a talk. And I don't have a fancy PowerPoint. So at some point, they'll probably throw an email address up on the screen, and if you email me, rather than you having to go really fast and take a lot of notes, I will send you the details on all this and how you can apply it to all of your communications, whatever you're going to do. Cool? All right. So, you know, something that Denise talked about was naming things fancy names. And so these 7 persuasion patterns I've come up with, when I first started evolving them, I really intuitively knew I needed to come up with fancy names for them. And they were catchy, kind of catchy names. The first one I actually ripped off of Joel Bauer, and it's "Your ego is not your amigo." The biggest mistake that people make that I find in their communications is that they write and they speak from the first person. And an example of this is like, I'm going to teach you how to blank, blank, blank. Or I'm going to come into your home and I'm going to clean your carpets in this way, that way, the other way. They make it all about themselves. And how many of us have heard that people listen to station WII-FM? What's in it for me? That's the focus of everybody that you're communicating with. They don't care about you, no matter how cool you are, no matter what you have to say, no matter what you're offering. What they want to know is what's in it for them. So always make your communications structured in a way that you're eliminating all the I, me, my from all of your communications and make it you and yours. Does that make sense? Focus on your prospect. The second thing is that people respond to embedded commands. And an embedded command is just basically telling somebody what to do. And so what I say is never say never. This is another aspect. And what we see all the time, and you'll relate to this immediately when I give you an example, is people put negative embedded commands into their advertising, into their marketing messages. And the mind has to process the actual portion of the embedded command that's not negative to form a picture of it to be able to interpret it. And the mind does away with the negative. So, for example, if I say, don't think of a pink elephant, the first thing you have to do is think of a pink elephant to try to interpret that statement. So the most famous example of this that's a mistake, at the end of advertising, people say, don't wait. Well, instead, it should be act now. Take all of your negative embedded commands and turn them into positive embedded commands. Okay, make sense? This is really kind of common sense stuff, and yet it's very powerful. And again, it can be checklisted. You can go through your work and figure it out.
Don't wait to clean your carpets.
Yeah, exactly. The next one is called bust your butts. And that's with one T. It's not like work harder, you know, when you want to get off the truck. Instead, the word but in any form of communication does what? Does anybody know what the word but does to everything that came in front of it?
Invalidates.
It invalidates everything that came before it. So I go through copy and very, very rarely do I ever include or leave a word but in there, except when I absolutely want to use something like reverse psychology to actually turn that around. And I'd give examples, and unfortunately there's just not enough time, but I'll put some examples in the notes that you email me for. The next one is, I call it why ask why, or something like what. And what that means is that when you ask a why question of somebody, and an example would be, why not call us today to get an estimate on getting your carpet cleaned? And what's wrong with that is that when you ask a why question, I really learned this from Tony as well, because he taught the power of questions. The brain has to try to come up with answers. So if you say, why not call us today for an estimate, the first thing that's coming up are the reasons why not, even if it's in the subconscious mind. So you don't want to trigger that. Another example would be, what have you got to lose? You're asking a question that the brain's going to try to come up with answers for what they might have to lose. And so you want to eliminate those kinds of phrases from your communication. And it's not really difficult to do. When you look for them and you just think about rephrasing them and reframing them. And I'll give you an example of a really famous reframe in just a moment. The next one is really hard to get rid of, and it's very common from the platform. We've heard it a lot today, and I call it wanting is needy. And this is sort of tied into your ego is not your amigo. Oftentimes we say, I want you to blank. And the reality is that people don't care what you want. They only care what they want. So instead of saying, I want you to, just give them the command. Just say, instead of saying, I want you to take out a piece of paper and a pen and write this down, just simply say, take out a piece of paper and a pen and write this down. Eliminate the I wants. The second part of that is telling people you need. And this one is particularly offensive to the subconscious mind, because although people are silently begging to be led, and they want you to be a leader, and they want you to show them answers to their problems, they will internally resist the idea that you're telling them what to do, as though it's an authoritarian thing. So in other words, if you say something, for example, like, if you have pets in your home, you need to clean your carpets twice a year. Instead, phrase that something like, if you have pets in your home, you'll find that your carpets last a lot longer if you clean them twice a year. Something along those lines. Now, that might not be accurate. I'm pulling that out of thin air. However, the idea is that you want to be elegantly persuasive rather than sort of like argumentatively domineering. That's the one thing you really want to avoid. The next thing is that some people might know, does anybody know when I say what a VAC is? A VAK, not a VAC like a vacuum, but a VAK, visual, auditory, kinesthetic. Has anybody been exposed to those? People have different representational systems. Some people are very visual, some people are very auditory, some people are very kinesthetic, and it's sort of a mix. And if you structure all of your communications just to the visual people, you'll sort of leave out the auditories and the kinesthetics. So examples would be when you're delivering a message and you say, do you see how getting this service would make your home a lot safer? That's a visual statement. If you then, later on in your communication, do you say, does this sound like something that's very appealing to you? You're then appealing to the auditories. And then if you say, can you feel the impact that this will have on your business or on your home? That's appealing to the kinesthetic people. Okay? So that's taking it to the VAX. The last thing, one that really irks me, is called crusty cliches. And you run across these all the time. And these are old sayings that people frequently use, and a lot of times people just write them into copy because they hear them over and over and over again, and they think that they're effective, and trust me, they're not. It's sort of like, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. How many times have you heard that? How many times have you believed it? It's BS, isn't it? Okay, that's a crusty cliche. Do away with it. You can talk about how rare the chance is, but people know that sometime down the road they're going to get another chance like that. Another example of that might be, this one I love, you owe it to yourself. How many people have a debt to themselves that they owe to themselves, especially with respect to something that's being advertised? Okay, there's your 7 negative persuasion patterns to eliminate all negative communications. There's sort of a bonus one that I like, particularly in written communication. Well, it really only applies to written communication, and I call it all banged up. And the reason I call it all banged up is in programmers' parlance, an exclamation point is called a bang. And if you look at a lot of advertising, you'll see exclamation point, maybe 3 of them in a row. You'll see an exclamation point after every sentence. Well, this is sort of the equivalent of typing in all capitals when you're chatting with somebody online. If you use exclamation points over and over and over again, they lose their effectiveness, and you're basically shouting at people. Get rid of them. The order form I did for Mike Koenigs for yesterday, on this entire order form, there's only 1 exclamation point. And that was after I said, wondering what happened. And that was after, leaving your competition in the dust, wondering what happened to them.
I mean, almost every person signed up for Mike Koenigs' teleseminar.
What my goal was in redoing this, and actually I'll send you the before and the after, because they sent me the before, and then I reworked it and sent it back to them, and exactly what I sent back to them is what was laid out yesterday. My vision for this piece was to make it strong enough, and I insisted that they be handed out rather than just available in the back of the room. My vision for that was that this piece would be strong enough on its own that when you looked at it and you scanned through it, that it was concise enough and brief enough that you'd want to sign up for it without even having seen the presentation. And I don't know if I succeeded necessarily in that, but I'm really pleased that we got so much participation. And you guys are going to love what you see as a result of what Mike has to deliver.
Would this be good copy if I said they're all a bunch of lucky duckies because they are seeing us sharing the order form after we sold them?
Sure.
No, I think that's not that good.
Stroking your ego, Joe.
No, I just said
how
but,
you're,
so I wanted to invalidate everything I just said.
Okay.
So this is pretty darn valuable because you invested in something which is going to be a really awesome teleseminar with Mike, and it's going to introduce you to this really cool whiz-bang technology and how you can use it and all that. And at the same time, it's very rare that you would ever go into a purchasing situation and then have someone reveal to you the actual copy that was used to persuade you into signing up. So do you find this to be sort of a valuable thing? I mean, do you see if you really analyze this, this will be a really valuable way for you to kind of get into the head of a master copywriter.
Would you like us? I know that Joe provides a lot of stuff that you just steal, and it's pre-written, and it's all really good. Some of you probably at times have to write something on your own for a specific circumstance, I would think. Do you not? Okay. Would you like a real simple 7-step formula for writing an effective sales letter that's easy to follow? The first thing that you want to do is address the problem or source of the pain that your prospect has. You want to acknowledge their pain. and bring that to the forefront. And that can be done right in the headline in a question form, particularly one that you're going to get them to answer yes to. So address the problem or source of pain that somebody has. The second step that you want to take is stick a red-hot poker into that pain. Stir it up, agitate it. Agitate the problem, amplify their pain emotionally. Get them fully associated to their pain, maybe by drawing out an example that they can actually relate to. Then the next step would be present a logical solution to their problem or their pain. Present a logical solution to their problem or their pain. Fourth step, qualify why you and your product or service is the solution to their problem. Qualify yourself. And this can include use of testimonials and things of that nature. Fifth easy step, make an irresistible offer. Present them with something that is so well structured that they can hardly say no.
I just wonder what that could possibly be.
The next step would be to give a better than risk-free guarantee. So you either risk reverse or completely eliminate any risk that they have. And the final step, of course, is, as for the order, deliver a powerful call to action. So I know we've eaten up the time. Any questions, comments?
We'll do 5 more minutes and then we'll end. Anyone have any quick questions? Come up to the mic.
Hi, Mike. Thank you for all that. I'm immediately going to take our webpage down and rewrite everything because I did everything wrong that you said in those first 7 things. I thought I was good at that stuff until just now. But my question for you is, and I hope I don't sound stupid in asking this, have you written a book?
Not yet. It's in the process.
Okay.
Charismatic communication, charismatic copywriting. That's actually the trademark term for my unique approach to dealing with seductive persuasion.
Awesome. And Joe, you'll keep us informed of that so we can be sure.
Did we get the email address up by any chance? So that's coming. It's makeover, M-A-K-E-O-V-E. There we go. Makeover at michaelmillman.com. And you can see samples, some more samples of my work and testimonials at the web address there, michaelmillman.com/copy-polishing.
We'll take one more question or comment if anyone would like to ask. So here's your chance. Okay.
I'm just wondering, those last 7 steps that you gave us, will that come in that email also?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, should I tell them the Make-A-Wish offer?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Do it. We talked about this, so.
Yeah. One of the things that I decided to do as a gift, again, to Joe and to this group, because I got so much value out of being here. It's just been absolutely awesome. And I met some wonderful people last night and had dinner, and some other people that I've met. I unfortunately haven't had a chance to meet very many of you. However, I'd like that to change and have an opportunity to interact with a lot of you. So what I'm willing to do, and I value my time at $750 an hour based on how much money I've made using my copywriting services for projects that I've done over the course of an entire year and divided that out, and that's the value of my time. People are probably familiar with tithing concept, right? Giving 10% of your income. Well, what if you could donate 10% of that fee to Make-A-Wish and have a 1-hour consultation to evaluate your whatever sales message you would like me to have a look at and give you a very concise 1-hour phone call helping you improve it. Would $75 be fair for that to donate to Make-A-Wish? So if it's not too much to ask, maybe Eunice or somebody you can coordinate that back there, and Joe will get me the list of everybody who wants to participate, and then we'll schedule that out, and depending on how many there are, I've got to kind of work it in with my obvious work schedule. However, I will get to everybody and take care of everybody as quickly as I possibly can.
Yep, so if you want to do that, we'll use, I guess, can we just use one of the regular order forms? So to be clear, $75 donation to Make-A-Wish.
Or more, yeah.
Or more, they get,
1 hour,
yep, of you to evaluate, look at, polish.
and a phone consultation about it.
Yeah. Pretty awesome? There you go. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, Joe. I really
Awesome,
appreciate it.
awesome. I really appreciate it. Thank you.